What's up YouTube, Casey here, and today I'm going to be doing a review on Spider-Man Miles Morales on specifically the PlayStation 5. So just real quick, yes, I was able to secure a PS5, very happy about it, but I understand a lot of people aren't right now, and maybe a lot of people are going to be picking this game up on the PS4. If you do, you know, the review still applies obviously, but I'm going to be spending the beginning portions of this video mainly talking about the technical aspects of being able to play this game on the PlayStation 5. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So Spider-Man Miles Morales takes place about a year after the events of the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game. Same universe, same cast of characters, yada yada yada. The only difference being is that now it's focused on Miles Morales. And long story short, basically the story here is Peter's out of town and it's up to Miles to defend New York. Some problems arise within Miles's social circle, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. But it's a really great coming of age story for Miles, discovering what makes him a hero. It makes Miles very likable, very admirable, and adds that much more to his character. And I arguably enjoyed the story of this game more than the PS5, Spider-Man on PS4, for varying reasons. But I feel like this game, because we really haven't had a video game that ever focused on Miles before like this, it was able to tell a tale on a character that we're not used to. You know, Peter we've seen done over and over and over before, but Miles, you know, to have a video game, you know, really just a story about him and see how he interacts with different people, how he handles situations, and how his relationships with different characters was very, very interesting. You know, the thing with the PS4 game is, yes, that version of Peter Parker is awesome. We know his relationship with Mary Jane. We know his relationship with Aunt May. We know his relationship with the various villains he has. So Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5 gives you two options when it comes to the technical aspects of it. So if you're playing on the PS5, you can pick between Fidelity or Performance Mode. If you pick Performance Mode, you're able to play at 60 frames per second, buttery smooth, swinging, web slinging through New York, but you can't play at a 4K resolution and you don't get ray tracing. If you play on the Fidelity Mode, it's basically flipped. You get ray tracing, you get 4K graphics, like the best graphical prowess that Insomniac has created for this game are on full display here, but you can only play at 30 FPS. So when I played both, I started playing the Fidelity Mode, okay? I wanted to see the best graphics that you could, and they were definitely very, very beautiful. And a game like Miles Morales, where it's winter time, so seeing the snow particles everywhere with the graphics being this much more enhanced, and then you have the reflections of the windows on the various skyscrapers just having perfect reflections because of the ray tracing technology. It just looks incredible. And you know, when your eyes are already used to 30 FPS at that point, you're not really going to notice a difference if you were playing on the 60 frames per second. But as soon as I switched over to the performance mode, that's what I stuck with. The game is already beautiful without the ray tracing, without playing at 4K. You know, it is just a beautiful game. But when you play at 60 FPS, something that I wasn't able to play on the PS4 version of Spider-Man, I had a regular PS4, not the PS4 Pro or anything. Web slinging at 60 FPS is awesome. So I personally recommend the performance mode, but that's just me. But you know, everything that I said about the Spider-Man PS4 game in my original review from 2 years ago now, that still applies to Miles Morales, still makes it a great game. The only difference with Miles Morales is that rather than Insomniac copy and pasting what they did with that game from 2018 to Miles Morales, they copied, refined, enhanced, and added, and then pasted, and it's just a great overall package. Miles web slings differently. He feels different. Playing this game with the DualSense controller feels incredible, but I'm sure you've already heard that multiple times now from different review outlets. The Venom Strike, his invisibility, camouflage ability, like those add a lot of elements to the combat and stealth aspects of the game. It is quite enjoyable. It does give a lot of different options to play Miles with. I will say that I felt there was a little too many missions that involve redundant puzzles, and it kind of slowed the pace of the game a lot because it's a pretty fast-paced game. So when they throw these like redundant puzzles at you, it's kind of just, it drags on a little bit. And this especially is exemplified by the fact that this game is only about 5-6 hours long. If you're playing straight through it, like just doing the story, you'll breeze through this in one day. Versus Spider-Man on PS4, which, you know, is what like a 20-hour story or something, 15-20 hours, but it's awesome length for a Spider-Man game. So Miles Morales is very short. So when you throw in mission variety that involves a lot of redundant puzzles, kind of you know, brings it down just a tiny bit, but it still plays the same. You know, you feel different, as I said earlier, when you swing around as Miles. The varying skins, the variety is great there. Combat is just as good. Miles is a little bit more fun to play with in combat because of you know, his own abilities. They give you a ton of different side missions, side quest type things to do, just like in the PS4 version, but under Miles, with Miles' own personal interests in them, you know, dictating that, like it did with Peter. So yeah, I mean, overall, there's not really much to say. If you've played the PS4 version, this game just pretty much enhances everything. Really great world building elements to this game that make me very, very excited for it. You know, the actual sequel for Marvel Spider-Man on the PS4. Yeah, the Spider-Man 2, whatever you want to call it. But there's a lot of good world building here, and that's pretty much all I'll have to say. So with the overall score in mind, okay, we have great graphics, great presentation, very smooth, great fidelity, like great performance, coupled in with a really great superhero story, short but very, very sweet, and gameplay that is pretty much just as fun as the original 2018 Spider-Man, making you feel like you are Spider-Man, and the web slinging is great. And so with all of that said, I am giving Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales an 8.5 out of 10. Yes, it is just as great as the original, probably a better story in my opinion, even though it's short, but because of the length of the story, I can't justify giving it a 9, which is like an amazing, incredible game on my scale. 8.5 is a really great game, and it is that. It's just the length that kind of hinders it. But yeah, thank you for watching.